Welcome to the Arc Junkies Podcast. My name is Jason Becker, and I'm your host. The mission of the show is to help, educate, and inspire the next generation of welders. Join me each week as I take you on a journey through the world of welding. With over 25 years of experience as a welder and fabricator, I bring my expertise to the table each week as I interview guests from all facets of the welding industry. From pipe welding to structural, underwater welding, and everything in between, we cover it all. Whether you're a student, a hobbyist, instructor, or a seasoned pro, this show's for anyone who's passionate about welding. What's up, everyone? Welcome to show number 288. So last week I put out an episode that talked about mental health and some of the things we could all do to cope with some of life's stresses. Whether that's work, home, family, or anything else that's causing you stress, anxiety, or depression. I received a lot of feedback on this episode, and it seems like it's helping out quite a few people. So I'm currently planning on a second part to that show. I actually have an awesome guest in mind who has made this topic her life's work. This episode should be coming out late August to early September, so stay tuned for that. In today's episode, I'm chatting with Mitchell Moore, also known as Dabbndaddo on Instagram. We catch up on what he's been up to lately, the side work he's doing, and the awesome art pieces that he does. We'll get right into it after a quick word from our supporters. Today's episode of the Arc Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Outlaw Leather, a family-owned custom hood and leather welding accessory company based in Pasadena, Texas. Outlaw has everything you need as a welder to help you stand out and get the job done. They specialize in quality and hand-build each custom piece to order right there in their shop. Whether you're in the market for a welding hood, rod pouch, or an armband for pipe welding, or you're an iron worker that needs a custom tool belt, bolt bag, sleever bar holder, or pig ears, Outlaw's got you covered. If you're looking for custom pieces, just shoot them an email, info@outlawleatherllc.com, and they'll build your custom pieces to your exact specifications using your original designs or artwork. Maybe custom isn't your thing, or you just need to get some gear in a hurry. Not a problem at all. You can shop outlawleather.com directly and get fast, easy shipping right to your home or your shop. And as a listener of Arc Junkies Podcast, you can save 15% off all in-stock handmade leather goods when you use Arc Junkies in the discount box at checkout. And if you're local to Pasadena, just stop in their storefront and they'll treat you like family. Tell them the Arc Junkie sent you. We're also brought to you by Fronius USA. Fronius is thrilled to announce 2 new products to unleash your welding potential. First up is the Fronius Dual Wire Feeder. The new WF25i gives welders the freedom to have 2 torches ready to go, each with different wire types, different welding parameters, diameters, and easily switchable at the touch of a button. No need to change wire spools or consumables between applications. Get precision wire feeding and save time without adding complexity to your day. Next up is the new mobile fume extraction system, Exento. The Exento comes in both high-vac and low-vac versions to fit your specific welding needs. The low-vac system includes a flexible extraction arm with 360 degrees of rotation and a flow-optimized hood for an exceptional fume capture rate. The high-vac system combines perfectly with the Exento torch kits to remove more than 99.9% captured fume particles at the arc to provide excellent extraction in a compact unit. Come experience both product lines at FabTech this September in Chicago. And while you're at the booth, be sure to stick around for daily machine giveaways, guest appearances, welding presentations, and of course the opportunity to weld on-site with a wide range of Fronius products. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. By now, you no doubt know about Rockmount's awesome rods and wires for dissimilar metals, welding through hydrocarbons, and getting higher performance at lower amps. But that's not where Rockmount's catalog ends. They have everything you need for all of your fabrication and repairs, like laser best drill bits, cut-off wheels, flap discs, hard rocks, drill bits, threaded inserts, stud extractors, reamers, and more. This is top quality stuff. I've used several of their burrs and grinding discs, and they all perform great. One of my favorite wheels that they put out is the PSP. It's specifically designed to prep, shape, and polish with one wheel. This disc is ideal for going from weld to paint with one wheel. No more swapping out different grits to get to a paint-ready surface. Just use one of these bad boys. And right now, you can save 10% when you shop for all your metalworking abrasives and consumables when you go to rockmountwelding.com and use Arc Junkies 10 at checkout. Get the job done right the first time, every time with Rockmount. Alright, you know what time it is. Fire up your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
Thank you for downloading show number 288 of the Arc Junkies Podcast.
You're listening to the Arc Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
Mitchell, welcome back to the Junkies Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jason. Always good to see you, dude.
Oh, definitely, man. I've wanted to catch up with you for a while. How you been?
Been pretty well, yeah. Kind of switched gears a bit, going from a full-time welding job to something totally different, but I'm still doing lots of welding on the side, so it's been fun. It has been fun.
What are you doing? What are you doing now?
So I actually deliver hot tubs for my 9 to 5.
Okay. So no more upper
I'm
arms?
still doing a lot of welding. No. So I'm still doing the control arms.
Okay.
But that's still on the side. Yeah.
I got you.
So my daily job, like Monday through Thursday, I'm moving hot tubs. And then on Fridays, I go into a local shop here called Firm Fuel. And Firm Fuel has been around forever. All they do is they make classic Mopar parts. Steering and suspension is what they specialize in.
Okay.
So I'm their one and only welder fabricator, and so they'll call me as kind of like a as needed basis. And so I'll do those on Fridays or Saturdays or whatever the case may be for that week,
Depending on how busy they are.
And then, yeah, exactly. Or if I got time off, like just sometimes we may have a slow day moving hot tubs because that's a sales based job, of course.
Mm.
So we got a short day. I'll go jump in over to the other shop and be like, hey, do you guys need me? It's like, yeah, come on in. So pretty nice being able to have that flexibility. And so, yeah, but my main job right now is delivering hot tubs as needed. I go build some control arms and then all my welding side work here, of course, at home. So
okay. Don't undersell delivering hot tubs because I just bought a cold plunge a couple months ago. And so opposite of a hot tub, I had guys. So I appreciate people like you that can, deliver that stuff to the house in a timely manner and get everything set up just so.
Yeah, it's quite a process. Let me tell you, it is quite a process. You wouldn't believe some of the things that we have to get these, 1,200-pound boxes, like some of the terrain we got to get them through, basically. We'll build ramps, we'll build bridges up and over AC units if we have to.
Oh, damn.
Whatever we got to do to get into the person's backyard, because an unhappy customer is never good. So,
no.
And if we can't do it by hand, then we hire a crane. So we get it done.
So I was going to say, you guys just need like a little mobile crane you can swing over top of the house and drop it right in the porch.
Yeah, that would be ideal, but they're pretty heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,200 pounds. That's quite a bit. Do you guys have any of them motorized dollies?
No.
Oh, you got to get a motorized dolly, man. We got we do a every year for my kid's birthday party. Like I do a big cookout and everything, and we get one of them big ass inflatable water slides and all that stuff. And they they got like a motorized dolly to bring everything back because those things are freaking heavy.
Yeah, they're heavy. I know. Even with our swim spas that we deliver, some of them are like 20 foot with a hot tub on one end, so they're weighing upwards of 4,200 pounds.
Jeez.
And if we can, we still deliver them by hand. Just throw them on dollies and like a big giant hot dog air balloon and just roll it right into place and set it down and set it up. But it's mostly by hand. Yeah.
Those swim things, is that like the one that's kind of like stationary? You can it's like almost as long as a person. You just swim in them.
Yeah. Yeah. The big ones are about 20 feet long and the smaller ones are about 13 to 15 feet.
Okay.
But
I want to say Daniel Osig over in Germany, the guy that did that sign.
Totally.
That's what he builds. He builds but they're all stainless steel over there.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's got to be quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, definitely.
Damn.
Definitely. But yeah, no. So like I said, all the hot tub stuff is like my main breadwinner, but still doing lots of welding on the side. And I love it. It's nice having the flexibility of it as well. So it's nice not having to work for the man doing the welding part and for myself on the side.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
So you planning on making that like a full-time gig anytime soon?
I kind of thought about it quite a few times, but I don't know if I don't think so.
No?
Because I don't think so, because I enjoy moving hot tubs, as goofy as it may sound. I enjoy doing that job. It's very flexible. We travel all over. I see a lot of different sights and scenery, which I really enjoy, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest. Man, we got like 2 hours west. We're in like the desert, high desert. I'm sorry, 2 hours west, we're in the coast.
Mhm.
2 hours east, we're in the high desert. 2 hours north. I mean, it's like a vast variety of sceneries around here, so it's pretty nice. We
Yeah,
get to
because you're
see
up
it
in
all.
Washington,
So,
right?
yep, yeah, right on the border of Vancouver and Washington and Oregon in Vancouver.
Okay. Very cool. I've always
Yeah,
wanted to get up that way. I know Nate's up that way. Red
yep,
Soul is another company. I think they're based out of Seattle.
yeah,
They do like a lot of artistic welding type stuff.
yeah, definitely. Next time I go up to Seattle, I want to go check it out. But that's like 3.5 hours away, so really not that far. But I just haven't made it up there in the last few years.
Yeah.
And Nate lives Nate lives about 15, 20 minutes away from me,
Oh, no kidding.
so he's not too far away. Yeah, he's pretty close.
Oh, damn. You guys ever get together and like run the excavator and all that?
Not yet,
Not
no.
yet. Hit him up, man. He's
I've
a
been,
pretty cool dude.
I know. I need to get over there, and he always says, come over or whatever. But in between my schedule and his schedule, I haven't really tried to work it out too much. But I need to
Yeah.
get on that.
His
It'd be fun
schedule's
to chit
freaking
chat
nuts,
with him.
man.
Right? Yeah.
He always hits me up
I
at
know.
like around 10, 11 o'clock my time, and it's like I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, ah, shit, this is really the only chance, really the only time I get to talk to Nate, so we'll blast some messages back and forth and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good guy. Anything I've ever needed, I'll just shoot him a message, and he's like immediately responding. So he's
Yeah.
a good guy.
Yeah, he's like always on Instagram,
I
but
know.
like still doing like,
I don't know how he
his
does it.
regular work and all that.
Yeah. I don't know how the guy does it.
I don't know, man. It's just staying busy. Like I'm the same way. Like I just got to keep moving, keep pushing. Eventually it kind of grinds me down. Then I'll just disappear for a couple days and like turn everything off and kind of go, stealth mode for, just to kind of like get things back on track. And then I can jump back into it. I tend to bite off a lot more than I can chew and just like push really hard and get it done. But
Right.
I like doing that. I like being in that mode. And a lot of times if I don't have anything going on, if I'm not doing anything, it's just it's not a good time for me.
Right. Yep.
I got to stay busy,
Yeah.
man.
No, I agree with that. That's kind of seems like that's how most of us welders are, but all of us need a break at some point.
Yeah.
Sure.
Eventually, like I said, I bite off more than I could chew, and then I start realizing, okay, I need to start saying no a little bit more often to different things. And so
Yep.
I've slowly started doing that again. I mean, there's a couple times a year it's like, yeah, go, 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 and then I just flip a switch and it's like no, 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 no. And I'm getting better at saying no for the most part. Unless it's something that's I definitely got to take advantage of this, or it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, or it could lead to bigger things. Then I'll be like, I probably should say no, but yeah, I'm going to jump on this one.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm on it.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll make time for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
get
it's like
that. I'm the
the
same way.
idle hands are the devil's playground.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you're still doing all your artwork and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. For a couple months I was in like a bad depression thing, so I wasn't really doing much of really anything. But I'm out of it, and I have been pumping out artwork now. I've got a couple of them to frame sitting over here. One like way back here on the ground you can't see, but yeah, back at the artwork, like full speed. And once I did my first piece, man, it was so stressful because after months and months of not doing it and really even just barely welding, getting back at it was like, oh man, like every little tiny dab I made, like sitting right in front of me, it was just like, oh, I'm gonna screw this up. Oh, I'm gonna screw this up. Oh, okay, I'm good. I didn't screw it up. That's awesome.
You got to get out of
So
your
the
head,
first one was
man.
very stressful. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a mind game, and especially for not having to do it so long, it was tough. But did it, turned out good, and then did another one, turned out great. So it's like now I'm just back in my regular flow how I used to be, and um, just trying to keep up with the orders at this point again because they keep flowing in again, which is great.
Yeah, it's kind of
Which
like
is great.
it's very similar. Like everybody says, oh, it's like riding a bike. Welding is very similar to riding a bike. Like if you haven't touched it in a while, like I did, when I got pulled out of the classroom to be a program manager and I wasn't in the lab welding every day, it was I thought the same thing. Like I've not done any welding in a while. I'm going to suck at this because I wasn't really doing a whole lot of side work at the house. I had too many other things going on. And then I
Sure.
got back into it, like we got Stephanie's school. We brought it down here to Orlando. And I was like, well, let me fire up all these machines and, make sure everything runs well, because this is the first time we've had all the machines hooked up in our facility. I want to make sure we got good, clean power coming through and everything's working right. And so I just started putting the machines through their paces, do a little bit of MIG, a little bit of flux core, a little bit of TIG, steel, aluminum. And I'm like, okay, it took me a minute. And I was like, okay, I got it back. And it just, it's like riding a bike. It comes right back to you. And it's all muscle memory.
It sure does. Yep. Yeah, definitely. It's all muscle memory. Definitely. I've just had so much fun getting back at it and doing, I've had like odd and end side jobs coming in, just like goofy little, can you fix this or can you fix that? Yeah, great. Or to the artwork stuff. So I've been having a lot of fun and keeping up with Firm Feel and all their control arm orders, because we do more than control arms. But that's for sure the number one item I build there for them. So just trying to keep up with all that, it's been really fun, especially lately. It's been a ton of fun getting back into it, and they're a really good company to work for too. So I just having fun.
Yeah. Now with the art pieces, like people just reach out and ask you to do commissions and stuff.
Yeah. For instance, I just might get like a random messages, like in my hidden requests in my messages right on Instagram, say, hey,
where everything ends up.
Like, yeah, right. I got like a random message from a girl and she was like, hey, do you do these for just like random people or do you only do them for companies? I'm like, oh no, I love doing them for people. And then later on, I find out it's a gift for one of their friends. And those are my favorite ones to do, are the gifts or like the surprises, because the receiver of that project is going to have no idea what's even coming at them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was exactly the case with the last one I did. It was for, or not the last one, but one I'd done here real recently, which was the first one I had done after for so long not doing any. Let's see, it was Insane Customs is what the name of the shop was called, down in Texas. And this girl, I think she was located like over on the East Coast. So, I had imagined it was like going to the East Coast, like thinking about like that whole process. And she's like, no, it's actually going to my friend in Texas. It's like a big surprise. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, awesome. So then I even put like more effort into the piece, I tried to make it look even better because it was going to be a total surprise. And I myself, I'm kind of selfish. I love surprises. I love gifts, right? It could be like a little letter. As long as it's not a bill in the mail and it's got my name on it, I'm stoked. I'm so excited, right? Like, all right, something cool to look at, even though it's usually nothing that cool, but
right.
But yeah, so random people will just message me. Random companies will just message me and ask me if they will like if I ever do trades, and I thrive on trades. Kind of, it's easier to see what else is out there as far as tools go, especially stuff I've never used or had the chance to use it, or if I've had them, like had the experience with them in a shop per se, but not in the home shop. For instance, like Bessie clamps, they reached out to me and asked me if I'd like to partner up with them and make them a piece or whatever. I'm like, sure, definitely. And like, they're right away. They're like, okay, we'll send you a ton of clamps as long as you do a little bit of reviewing for us. I'm like, great.
Yeah, consider that done.
Yeah, consider that done. And you know how useful Bessie clamps are. And so,
oh, dude, you can't get by without them. I've got like a couple like high dollar Bessie clamps out in the garage that like I barely ever use, but when I use them, it's like, thank God I have this. I have this one.
Right.
It's like an old school Bessie corner clamp. So it's a 90-degree corner clamp, but it's all like cast steel. And the thing is nice. Like just built freaking solid and square and true. And like, I know if I got two of them. If I have to put something together that's like, it needs to be dead on, that's exactly what I use.
Nice.
Those things are so freaking sweet. I didn't realize it, but awesome. Bessie, their clamps, it's a byproduct because they make steel and, like different alloys and stuff. So all the scrap that they have, they turn it into clamps. I was like,
I know, it's crazy.
That's freaking genius. And they make some of the world's best, clamps for like heavy duty fabrication.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I've got, this little baby fixer table here too in front of me. And they even sent me a bunch of the ones that just drop, the peg style, drop right into the table. And it's like, I didn't even know they made that whole style. So it was like, I got introduced to this whole new world of clamps from that company. I was like, all right, like this is exciting,
Oh yeah, dude, like all those little fabrication clamps and accessories, and it's insane. Like I use a lot of the stuff from Stronghand. I love their stuff. I got the Rhino cart, so it's like a lot thicker. Because when I was over at weld.com, we used I think it was like a Certiflat table, but it was a thinner table, so it was only like 1/4 inch thick. So the clamps and everything really wouldn't function because they didn't have the depth for that little insert piece that goes into it. So nothing really ever functioned right. But when I got the Rhino cart and started using all the clamps and, you know, all the accessories and stuff for like that, like they got like the little the stop blocks, the little 90 things, like all the it just makes a world of difference. You spend like maybe 10 minutes getting everything set up and fixtured. You know, you can draw everything out on the table, set up your clamps, your stops, and all that stuff. And then you you cut all your parts and pieces, and it'll tell you immediately if your measurements are screwed up because it's not going to fit in the fixture. And so you can go back and, you know, before you weld it up, because that's where everybody screws up, you know, especially like new welders. They just want to get to the welding, you know, so they kind of sandbag the fit up and the fabrication, and then they go to try to weld it out, and it's like warping, and, you know, the tolerances aren't right, and it's all over the place. But like using a fabrication table, it helps improve that accuracy. It lets you know immediately, hey, you know, especially if you're building, you know, 3, 4, 5 of something, I'll definitely go ahead and set up like a fixture for it and then lock everything down and weld it all out. It makes life so much easier.
It sure does. Yep, it sure does. Especially when you're actually welding something, all those clamps and all the fixture pegs, they can help it stay true and square.
Yeah.
Even while you're applying all that heat to it. You know?
This the first time I ever used a fixture table. It's called an acorn table, or I guess a plenum table. But they're like 4 foot by 8 foot, and they had 2 inch by 2 inch squares, or it might have been 3 inch by 3 inch squares. But I mean, like the massive things, and they had these things called a kingpin, and it's just got like kind of like a shepherd's cane look to it. And you put your part on the table exactly where you need it, and you put this, you know, this pin in there, and then you literally just smack it a couple times with a hammer right on top, and it just drives it in. You're not moving it. Like you could hook it up to an F450 and like just punch it, and it's going to take the table with it. These things do not move. And then when you're done, you're like, how am I going to get this thing back out? You smack it you just get a light tap on the back, and it just springs right out. Yeah,
right. But that's awesome. I think we had one of those at one of the shops. I used to work at a shop building Navy SEAL boats, all aluminum. And that's what I think we had something just like that. Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, we had a couple of them when I was I was doing work for Buena Vista Construction Company through the Iron Workers. And I guess Central Shops had like sent them down the road, and they got a hold of them. But I mean, they're super handy to have, and they're freaking solid. But I mean, they're massive tables. But I was like, dude, I'll never be able to have anything like that in my shop ever. And here it is, you know, like 10, 15 years later, they've got all these tables and stuff that you can buy right for the house to do like very similar work, smaller scale. Obviously, we're using like a 5/8 diameter hole instead of a 3-inch hole. But I mean, I'm not fabricating anything that requires something that big in my shop.
You're not making a bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
So like a little 3 foot by 4 foot table in the shop. I mean, it just makes life so much easier. I started off with one of the Harbor Freight fold out tables that are like $70, and then you get like the 20% coupon on their website, and you go down there and you're like, oh yeah. I ran off one of them for years. They have like the long slots in it, so you can actually get a pair of like R11 or 11 SP clamps in there. You know, like regular standard channel locks or vice grip pliers. You could get those in the slots, but it still wasn't like what I needed. And then I finally got the strong hand table, and dude, that's literally a game changer.
World of difference. Yeah,
I use it for everything.
I absolutely agree with that.
Now, do you use that? I mean, like you constantly because you're tacking everything down to like a 1 inch thick plate.
Yep, exactly. I got a 20 by 20 by 1 inch thick block of just mild steel. And I use mild steel because it doesn't warp as much as stainless, right? So I use a mild steel block and tack everything. I go around and tack everything, and I come back and I weld everything down. And you know, if I'm going to be laying a ton of weld on the piece, and I might throw like a lot of extra welds. I don't weld like 50% of it. I don't go to town on it, but I put a good amount of tacks and welds around it. You know, probably like 1 to 1.5 inches long. But I've had it in the past where if I find myself welding a ton on that actual art sheet, then those little welds, those little inch to 1.5 inch welds are actually popping and blowing out as I'm currently welding on the art piece itself. And it scares the crap out of you, man. And, you know, it's like all you hear is like the silence of just nothing. And all you hear is a gas flow, or you hear your music in your ears. And then you just hear boing, you're like,
bang. You're like, what the hell was that? Dip the tungsten.
You're throwing everything. You're throwing your wire. You're dipping your tungsten. Yeah. So I've just taught myself like just throw a good amount of weld on there, and especially if it's going to be a lot of actually weld on the art piece itself. Make sure I really weld it down to that chill block, because if not, it'll go south real quick.
Now, when you weld up the borders,
pops up, then that's not good.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
When you weld up the borders, are you tacking it down with like 309?
Yeah, so I do my. Do you mean like the actual art sheet itself to the chill block?
Yeah, just the like plain version piece to the chill block. You using 309 for that?
No, I still am just using my 316 just because it's keeping everything the same alloy. That way, if I end up grabbing a rod, I don't grab the wrong alloy. And I find that the 316 alloy colors more. I could be wrong. I'm not a scientist. I'm not the weld scientist, but I find that the 316 alloy colors more, and it's like a more vibrant color than the 309 and 308 and the other wires. So I just keep it all the same, so I don't end up mixing it up.
Okay. No, I was wondering, just welding the plate down to the chill block using 309, if that would help a little bit more, just because that's like a mild steel to stainless steel. I mean, that's the ideal rod to use for it.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. So when I first started, I think I was using 308, and that's actually that's what I know. It's not quite 309, but it was still popping off everywhere. I think it's just the amount of shrinkage that stainless has, but I should try a 309 one of these times and see if I can put like a few little tiny baby welds around it and really test it out and see what it'll do.
Yeah, and just keep those on the other side of the shop.
Yeah, I know. Way
because
I
do the same thing. Like if you're not paying attention, you pick up like a 70S6 wire and just start welding with it. Be like, oh crap, it's right. I'm on mild steel.
Yep. Yep. Around here, I've got lots of the 316 and silicon bronze. Because that's how I do my like silly B corners on my art pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a nice gouge, or not a gouge. I'll bevel the frames out pretty heavily, and then throw a whole bunch of silicon bronze in there, and then grind it flat, come back with like a little propane torch or MAP gas torch and heat it up, and that silicon bronze will change colors before the stainless steel frame. So you get like a nice crisp line of the stainless steel, or not stainless, this nice crisp line of the silicon bronze changing colors before the stainless does. So it's like cool contrast too. So I got lots of silicon bronze, but luckily I haven't had to accidentally grab one of those rods when I'm doing an art piece.
Yeah, I like the look of the silicon bronze on there when you embed it into the stainless and stuff like that. It turns out slick.
Yeah, it does look pretty sick. It was just kind of my way of trying to set myself apart when I first started doing the artwork, because I knew I wasn't the only guy. There was Dabs, of course, and OSIG, and what's the fella from France? I don't remember his name anymore. The guy who passed away. So
Mattia.
Yeah, Mattia, exactly. So I was trying to find, and I'm not comparing myself to those guys by any means. I'm just saying I was just trying to find something a little bit different to do at the time. So I felt like it was kind of my little baby signature at the time. But now I know everybody's picked up on it, and it's kind of doing it. Just cool to see other guys figuring it out as well. So.
Yeah. Have you gotten a touch mark yet?
No.
You need to get a touch mark. So Buckeye Engraving, he's the one that did mine, and I don't do a whole lot of work, but that I actually put a touch mark on. But he did one. I was referred to him by who was it? A-Bomb 79. So Adam Booth.
Oh, yeah.
He referred me to Buckeye Engraving, and then there's a lot of people out there that do them. Shop Forge. It's SHOOPFORGE. He actually makes them too, and they're pretty slick. He's doing one for the new certification center that we're putting together, the WeldWorks Training Center. So he's building a touch mark for that. But yeah, dude, that's something you should definitely look into. That way, once you get your piece and everything done, they can put your custom logo on there. I think mine's, and like you see the detail that's in my logo. I think it's only like 3/4 inch by 3/4 inch, and like all the detail is there. And
dang.
I mean, you just, once you get done, you put that little piece on there and you smack it and boom, it's done.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. I partnered up with a company from Australia, Easy Clean Welder. Let's see, Easy Weld Cleaners. It's just a passivation unit box. And so they sent me like a stencil kit.
Oh, there you go.
They actually sent me the stencil, and now the stencil kit is on the way. So that was kind of my plan instead of getting like a stamp, but I still think I'm going to get a little baby touch mark because it would be pretty sick to to hammer your own little signature in there instead of putting a stencil in there. I do like the idea of the stencil, from a passivation unit, kind of blackens that steel.
Mm-hmm.
But a true stamp would be pretty rad too. So I want to definitely check that out.
Yeah, I think Fronius was demoing one last year or the year before. It might have been 2020 FabTech. Because we didn't have 2020 FabTech. Like 2021 FabTech, I think in Chicago, they demoed one where you could do your own custom stencils and stamps and all that stuff, and you can run the passivation machine across it. And it like you said, it puts that like blackened logo on there, and that looks pretty sick, man. It's like high def.
It is, yeah, it is super cool. It blows me away how crisp and clean the lines can come out just from a stencil.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the process takes like this etching formula or like chemical solution, you would think that the black would just kind of like, ooze out or kind of escape your stencil. But no, it leaves a nice crisp line, which is what I'm pretty excited about. I've seen quite a bit of examples from this company, so I'm excited to use them.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. How do you like the passivation unit? I mean, are you using that on some of your art pieces?
I did. So I've used it on one art piece. Not particularly from that company because I hadn't been teamed up with them yet, but I have used the passivation unit on one art piece for Rush Kane some time back, and it was awesome, super easy to use. And so when they reached out to me to ask to partner up with them, I'm like, yeah, totally, obviously. And I've got some art pieces I've got coming up that like some pieces of the art itself I like to keep super silver. So if I don't achieve that when I'm actually welding, if I get some golds or blues in there, for chance, I guess, then I'll come back in and cook off the colors and make it nice and silver. I guess just sitting right here in front of me, I got some of these cubes from Weld Metals online,
Mm-hmm.
And man, the passivation unit works great because it just takes all that color right off of those welds and repolishes them up like immediately, and it's awesome.
I thought it'd be more of like a dull color, but I mean that looks super shiny.
Yeah, it is super shiny.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Arc Junkies podcast is brought to you by Strong Hand Tools. They just released some new additions to my favorite table, the Rhino Cart. The new versions include a 4-foot by 3-foot hydraulic lift table, a 4-foot by 4-foot version, and a new 5x3 version for those bigger jobs. They also released a new E-lift turntable that's 30 inches by 30 inches and can hold up to 660 pounds, spin 360 degrees, and is electric hydraulic powered for ease of use. All these new products and more are available on sale right now at stronghandtools.com/promo. Get a sweet discount and free shipping before this promo ends on September 30th. There's never been a better time to join the Strong Hand family. We're also brought to you by Everlast Welders. Are you looking to get into welding? Maybe you need to upgrade your current setup. Or possibly you need a better machine to turn that side hustle into a full-time gig. Look no further than Everlast Welders. They have a machine for every skill level and budget. My personal favorite is the Lightning MTS 275, a true multi-process machine that allows you to run stick, MIG, TIG, both AC and DC, flux core, and has spool gun capabilities. This machine is a beast. Check out the full line of multi-process machines and more at everlastwelders.com. And be sure to use Arc Junkies in the comment section at checkout to get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. Now let's get back to the show. I had a buddy that called me up the other day. I don't know how much a passivation system costs, but I imagine they're kind of pricey. But he called me up and he was like scrambling. He's like, dude, I'm working for this company. It's like a water treatment facility, and everything that I'm welding up has to be passivated inside and outside. So I guess he's building like a bunch of connection points, and then it'll get re-welded in the field. But he's like, do you know anybody that has a passivation unit? Luckily, he found somebody. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, if you're going to be doing a lot of this work, you might as well just invest in one of those machines. Like I said, I don't know how much they cost, but it can't be as much as buying a welding machine. It's got to be a little bit cheaper, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it kind of varies on like which one you get, for
right?
Sure. I don't know of all the prices of Fronius or anything like that. I think the one I ended up with is kind of like their Plus edition, so it can do a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's a little over $2,000, so they're not super cheap.
That's still not too bad. I mean, compared to like,
yeah,
outsourcing it to another company and then having to deal with, their timelines, dropping stuff off, picking stuff up. Like there's a lot of headache that goes along with that, invoicing and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, who cares? You just charge the customer anyways, right? For your
Exactly. I
more
mean, you're gonna,
services.
yeah, you're gonna upcharge. I told him, I was like, dude, don't forget to upcharge, because I mean, like, you have to do all the legwork to facilitate all that. But how much better would it have been if he'd had one at the house? You could just weld it up, passivate it, hit it with the neutralizer, and just set it off to the side, and then deliver everything, and still charge for that service.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've actually got a piece here in front of me I did for Rush Cane years ago, and I burnt the crap out of it, man. It's like all black. Parts of it are all black from his Cane Industries logo.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some bits over here and bits over here I wasn't really too thrilled with. So I had an idea. I mean, he's already got his piece, I sent it to him a couple years back and whatever. But I was like, man, I got this extra piece that I wasn't happy with. I'm like, I'm gonna play around with my new machine and see how well it does. And I actually have some pieces over here too. They're not weld art by any means, but I was training a couple friends how to do some stainless steel welding, and they, like, as you can imagine, burnt the crap out of the stainless, right? It's all black, it's all sugar, it's everything. And I just tried it the other day. I took that passivation unit and just brushed it, and like immediately all the black just cooked right off.
Takes everything right
and I was
out.
surprised. Yeah, I was pretty surprised because of its being so black, it just kind of took it from being like this nasty, nasty black color just right back to that silver color really easily. And I was surprised. So even it's cool because it could even take like a not so experienced welder out in the field in a shop or whatever. If they lay a nasty oxidized weld that's not sugared, hopefully, but if the top of it's all burgundy and black and the backside of it looks good, they could still come back and passivate it, and then you've got a good weld again. Like it looks great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know they use it a lot for like food service industry and like beverages and pharmaceuticals and all that. Like you can't have any coloring on there, any oxidization. Yeah. So they take that off with the passivation units.
Right. Yep. And totally. The last fab shop I used to work at, we had to passivate almost everything that we shipped to the pulp and paper industry because of the same thing. They just considered it a weak spot, of course, in corrosion because of the pulp that was going around in all the vats. They'd get stuck in these tight corners and all the parts that we build, and same thing, it would just corrode all that metal. So we had to passivate everything, either that or wire wheel them, and wire wheeling took forever, and it's just not the same as passavating,
We had to do a lot of that at Disney with like the a lot of the handrails and stuff. Like most everything out there is stainless, just because especially out by the water parks and stuff. We'd weld everything out, and then like as soon as you get done welding it, if you hit it right then with a wire brush, stainless steel wire brush, obviously, a lot of times you could get pretty much all the coloring off immediately. But if you let it set, if you let it cool down, you're gonna play heck trying to like get that back off later on.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've tried to, like, for instance, like this little cube that I showed you here. I even tried like hitting it with a polishing pad at first before I tried passavating it. Tried hitting it with like a repolishing pad, and it's just not the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is not the same. Those little passivation unit, like the brush itself, is made out of carbon fibers. So you can imagine all these little teeny tiny fibers getting into every little nook and cranny. So I think that's why it works so well too. Yeah,
that's the problem with the polishing wheels and stuff. Like they can't get into like every little dab, and
Yeah, definitely not. And I know you can't see it, but on this little cube, I did like little teeny tiny baby weaves, like 035 wire. So exactly what you're saying. Like there's no way that polishing compound, and even if I could get it in there, how do I get the polishing compound back out of it without scratching it all?
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
It's like,
a lot of buffing with, like a shop towel and some acetone.
Yeah.
What thickness is that cube you were welding on?
Ooh, I think it's just 1/8 inch.
Okay. What kind of amps you running for 035?
I was up around 60 to 70 amps, I believe.
Oh wow, okay. Quite a bit.
Kind of cooking it pretty hot. Yeah. I was kind of playing around with it to see how it would work out, and also I was going to test that passivation unit. So a couple of corners I wanted a bit hot. And I know some of the corners too, because I did this cube, I did diamond, and like this prism thing. And so with them, I kind of did all different amperage and like different techniques, like a pulse on, pulse off, like a foot pulse, just like straight dabs, you know. Um, so my amperage was just kind of all over the place and trying to play around with those shapes. But
Now,
yeah, nothing.
when you run pulse, do you prefer to do like a manual pulse or do you prefer to do like a machine set pulse?
That depends. So if I'm running parts, like for instance at Firm Feel making those control arms, it's an old Miller. There's no such thing as a pulse on that machine,
Okay.
right? So
Manual
if I'm running a pulse,
not by choice.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll do it manually if I do, which is pretty rare. And if I do a pulse, say like on an art piece, I do rely on the machine heavily because everything is so consistent. And the last art piece I did, it was for Clock 9. It's like this big gear cog looking thing, and there's just so many dabs. I mean, I was gonna try to count them. I was like, okay, 10, okay, okay, I'm done counting, right?
Yeah.
There's so many of them, and so because I wanted that consistency all the way through, I just relied on the machine. I've got a CK MT200 sitting over here, and so I mean, it is just super consistent. I had it turned all the way down, so the pulse is like half or 1 pulse per second. I can't remember as low as it goes, but super consistency is what I need in doing art pieces like that, and it gives you just a better final product. So if I've got the technology, I'll use the machine. That's what it's there for in my eyes, you know. And I use it too. I know some people don't agree with it, which is all fine and dandy. But when I'm showing other people how to TIG weld, you know, I'll turn the pulse on and be like, look, this is the pulse feature.
Yes.
Check it out. See if you like it. Because if you do, it'll help you get that timing down. It'll help you dab. Okay, dab, dab, dab. If not, I'm standing 2 feet from them saying dab, 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 right?
Yep.
So it's a useful tool. The pulse, you know, a lot of people think it's cheating. It's for sissies. I don't think so.
There's no cheating when it comes to welding.
Purpose. No, it's got its purpose for sure.
Oh, definitely. And like, so I had very similar, like I was training a group of students, our first comprehensive class a couple of weeks ago. And I literally crawled under the table and I'm like, I grabbed this kid's foot and I was like, you know, I'm manually pulsing his foot because he wasn't quite getting exactly where his foot needed to be. And, you know, because I was trying to use like a lot of driving analogies and stuff like that, but he's 15, he doesn't drive. So like I grab his foot and I'm like, okay, all the way down, about 3/4 of the way off, all the way down. Cause he was kind of like all the way down, just a little bit up, all the way down. And I'm like, you're not really making a difference there. We need big changes here because we were doing aluminum. And so I was trying to get him the rhythm. And I was like, okay, when I push your foot pedal down, you're going to take that filler metal and touch the leading edge of the puddle. And then you're going to, and then once I back off, you're going to pull the filler rod out and you're going to advance that torch just a little bit. And so like I was manually down there pumping his foot, listening to the machine and trying to teach this kid rhythm through, you know, operating his foot on a foot pedal. But yeah, like the pulse helps out a lot because it's, especially with aluminum, because it's like an audible timer. You know, it's kind of like a metronome. Yeah. It gives you an audible input as to, okay, when that thing like ramps up, add the filler metal. When it backs off, you know, advance forward. So it's like, especially for anybody training welders, it's like putting training wheels on, you know, getting them into the habit, developing in that rhythm. A lot of people, you know, like my students, when I was teaching at a college level, they all wanted to wear headphones. And I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that in the shop because I don't want you to develop bad habits now. I want you to be able to, understand what that arc looks like, sounds like, and feels like. And if you're, you know, you got Post Malone bumping in your headphones, you're going to be paying attention to his lyrics. You're not going to be paying attention to what you're actually doing. So yeah, we'll play the music later on, get the fundamentals down first, and then you can add the music later.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Definitely. I know I had the exact same experience. My little sister-in-law, I've been training her a bit with welding, and same thing. Like you said, student you're trying to teach, she doesn't drive. Same thing with her. She didn't drive. Yep. I was like, here, listen to the pulse. You're here. Like, hi. And a lot of people don't understand. Like, well, what am I looking for? And I'm like, you'll know. Like, you will know it's going to be hot and then cold. Like, are you sure? Oh, you will know. Like, oh yeah. So the pulse feature is awesome, man. I love it. It was awesome.
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to hear that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the only time I ever use it though is if I'm running like stringers, basically. Mm-hmm. I don't ever use it if I'm doing any kind of weaves because I need to control that puddle 100% on my own. with the filler wire in the puddle and the arc. Nothing else. I don't need anything else input into it.
That's one thing I'd like to learn how to do is like, have you ever seen the guys that run, they're running pulse on a weave. So they've got like the ripples and dabs all the way through. Like, I want to know, like, everybody's, what's your settings? I think that would help me because I understand how to weld, to be able to, like, what is your pulses per second? What's your peak amperage? What's your regular amperage? What's your background current? Like, if I could program that in, I think I'd be able to get the hang of it. But like trying to figure out how to do that, because I always end up, running the pulses like too far apart, and then it doesn't turn out, or you run it too fast, and it's like nothing's going on at all. It's just like welding without pulse.
Right. Yep. I know there's definitely a good medium in there to find, and it's tough to find. It is definitely tough.
But I mean, those things look crazy. I mean, structurally, I don't know. I'd have to do some testing on it, but it looks cool. So if you're going to do like art pieces and stuff like that, like the little ripples embedded in the weaves, it looks really, really slick.
Yeah, looks sick. Yeah, I'd kind of thought about trying it out on some art pieces too, but it's like for myself, I can't afford to go buy 5 of the exact same sheets just to try something else on somebody else's piece.
Yeah.
So it's something when I get some downtime and some scrap, I'm definitely gonna try it out, because it'd be fun to put a little tweak on some of my art pieces as well.
Now, when you go out to get your material, do you buy them in like the sizes that you need, or do you just like buy a full sheet and then rip it down with a cutoff wheel or a plasma cutter?
No, I buy them per size, right to size. It's a lot easier that way, and my supplier up here it's pretty well priced, and it just costs literally a few bucks for them to chop it down for me. So it makes so much sense for me just to buy it per size. And I don't have a big shop. I got a 2-car garage, and half of it is tools. I got a pool table, all my kids' crap, and my little baby welding station.
Yep.
Right?
Sounds like my garage, minus the pool table.
Yeah. Right. So I don't have the space for a full 4x8 sheet of stainless steel, and I just don't have that kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes sense for me to order it right to size, and it's cheap enough. So I just do it that way.
I got to look into that, because I've always wanted to try like welding on mirror polished, like for, an art piece or something to that effect. Like I've done mirror polished work for handrails and all that stuff. I mean, it comes in and you mess with it. It's all either brushed or polished or whatever. But like, I've never tried to do the artwork like you guys do. Like you guys do some really sick stuff with that. And I don't know, it's something I want to start messing around with.
I will say that the mirrored finish also, to me, it welds cleanest. Like there's no, like if you get a brushed finish, to me, it feels like the abrasives are still embedded inside of that stainless. So every once in a while, you get a little bit of contaminants floating on your puddle.
Oh, that makes sense.
But on a brush, but on a mirrored finish, man, it is just like super pure, super clean. And the coolest part is as you're welding, you can see the reflection going back up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like super sick. You've got like the whole top-down view of the weld puddle, the cup, your handle, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then at the same time, you've got the reflection of the bottom side of the cup, which is like this massive screen, right? Just flowing all this gas. So it's like this almost like a whole different world that you see, and you don't see everything because everything is so dark in your hood. So you see like just the important part and how cool it is. It's like, it's totally different. Welding on mirrored is totally different than welding on brushed or like a 2B finish.
I would imagine it's like the same thing I tell people all the time. It's like, clean your material. The puddle's going to flow better if you take the mill scale off. In reference to steel, and same thing with aluminum. Like, hit it with a wire brush, take that aluminum oxide layer off. Stainless, just wipe it down with acetone, hit it with a wire brush. You're good to go. But like polished stainless, because there's nothing for that puddle to stick to. It's got to like flow and glide right across that material like glass.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. And it's just, I mean, the mirrored finish to me also produces a much more vibrant color. So that's why I still do give an option to customers. Like if they want an art piece, like, hey, do you want brushed? Cool, great. Like we'll do it brushed. But personally, mirrored always shows the colors better. It looks cooler. It's just
a little bit more of a pop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, because it's mirrored and you can see the reflection of everything, does that mess with your depth perception at all when you're welding it out?
No, not so much.
Really?
Kind of like I mentioned, because you're looking through your hood, so everything is so dark already. You're really only seeing the bright red tungsten, your stick out, the reflection of your bright red tungsten, but still at least for me, I'm still honed in on that puddle and the filler, and that's it. It's just you and that puddle. So everything else is still just like a blur, but you can see it, but you're not focused in on it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know like when I do aluminum, it messes, I don't know if it's depth perception or whatever, but the reflection off the puddle, it always makes me think that I'm further away from my puddle with my tungsten than I actually am. So I'll go to dab and like it never fails, man. I'll feed it right into my tungsten, or I'll feed it into the puddle, and then that puddle like balloons up just enough to hit the end of that tungsten. Then all that heat just sucks all the aluminum right up the tungsten.
Yep, totally. I know what you're talking about. I've definitely been there.
And then I'm like, oh, okay,
Definitely.
I got to stay further away. And like every time I go back to aluminum, I got to teach myself that same lesson.
A little bit farther.
Yeah.
A little bit farther.
It's like I told Dusty the other day,
definitely.
he was talking about, people, they're so focused on, contaminating or dipping the tungsten. Like, don't worry about that. Just focus on the leading edge of the puddle, and your tungsten's going to stay the correct distance. But if you're constantly focusing on the tip of your tungsten, you're going to contaminate. So I made the comment, I was like, yeah, I just like to dab my tungsten right into the puddle as soon as I get going. That way it's out of the way and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Just dip it once.
Great.
It's like tradition now.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. I like that. I know that the couple of people that I've been showing how to weld recently, I've actually been really surprised because of me learning TIG, it didn't go so well. It took me quite a while. I was professional at dipping that tungsten, man. That tungsten would go for a swim so much every single day. I'd end up, my 7 inches of tungsten would be sharpened down to an inch by the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? But now it's like, even I don't know why, but these people I've been showing lately, it's like I don't even mention about like not necessarily dipping it. I just say keep your tungsten about an 1/8 to a 3/16 away, maybe a little bit farther if you're doing if you're doing aluminum. And I don't mention like what could happen, because I've done that in the past. It's like it scares them. I don't know why, but it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So like scares them. So now I'm just like, just keep it up and just go for it. Like just see what happens, And if something goes sideways, we'll tackle it then,
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. May not be the best way, but it's been working for me.
Yeah, I was going to say if it's working, because I always, preface that conversation with, if you contaminate, stop, resharpen your tungsten. I tell them, so let me ask you this. Do you sharpen both ends of your tungsten?
No, I don't.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're one single point kind of guy.
I am a single point kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason is I've got quite a few different colors, and I'm pretty good at losing stuff. At the shop I work at Firm Feel, when I'm making those control arms, I'm the one and only guy there. So I will double, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'll double sharpen them, especially when they start to get shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But normally I just sharpen the one side. I'll take the back side and shove it in my sharpener just a little bit, just get a little bit of a chamfer on it. That way, when I shove it back into my torch,
Runs back in the collar a little bit easier.
Yeah, it just goes right back in instead of having that sharp square edge on it. But
so
no,
you want to keep the color band on your tungsten.
I do. I like that
Okay.
color band. And also something I found too, it only applies to having a brand new tungsten, but is if you sharpen that backside of it where the color band is at, you're burning that color band, and that's contaminating your tungsten immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Once you sharpen it past that color band, obviously it's no problem, but those first couple of times you sharpen it, you're dealing with the color band already in contaminated tungsten, and it smells weird.
Yeah.
It just does, dude. It's a weird smell, those color bands.
So I'll let you in on a little secret. Go up to like your local Walmart or Walgreens or whatever, and go over there where they sell all the nail polish, and buy you some red nail polish, blue nail polish, chartreuse, like every color tungsten that you have. That way, when you cut your tungsten or have to sharpen both ends, you can put like a little dab of nail polish on the center of the tungsten, and then you can maintain that color. I went over to my buddy's gang box. I was like, Josh, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. I can't remember. I was like, hey, dude, I need to borrow something out of your gang. I can't remember what it was. He's like, oh, yeah, it's over there. And I walk over, and he's got like 6 or 7 different colors of nail polish in there. And I'm like, dude, why do you have this in your toolbox? I was
Right.
This is a little odd. I mean, this is back in like 2010. I was like, that's a little odd for an iron worker to have like this,
Totally.
full set of, different nail polish. And then he explained it to me, and I was like, that's freaking brilliant.
That is brilliant.
I was like, that makes sense.
I'll definitely do that.
But then I also use Arc Zone. I think it's Arc Zone. I bought them through Weldmonger, Jody with Welding Tips and Tricks. He's got like different colored 3D printed tubes with magnets in the bottom of them. So I've got like a blue one, a red one, a black one, like, so I'll put like that specific color inside of that tube.
Right. Yeah. I do have a few tubes here, but I haven't even filled them up. I just don't know why.
Oh, they're expensive to fill up, dude. It's $50 a pack.
Yeah.
depending on the diameter you're running, because they sell that stuff pretty much by weight.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's been normally I just use a CK laser tungsten. It seems to run great on everything.
I love that
I've
stuff.
Been sticking to that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been running that for a while. Well, Peter with CK, he asked me if I had ran it, and I was like, no, not yet, because it's the same chemical composition as another company that's out there that I don't like. Right. We'll just leave it at that. But I guess there's a difference because I think laser is annealed. The other brand is not annealed. And so the other brand, like you go to weld on it, doesn't matter if it's steel, stainless, aluminum, that tungsten, I always get splitting. Like no matter what I do, it always splits, or the tungsten just doesn't maintain that good shape. But the laser seems to hold up much, much better. And I think it's because it's annealed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that I had no idea it was annealed, but that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
So a lot of people are really hesitant to use the 2% thoriated, the red brand or the red band. I found, so for the longest time, this company came in, dropped off this pack of tungsten. It was orange. That's all I knew. It had an orange band on it. Well, now an orange band, like I guess seriated, took that color. So you can get seriated in orange or gray. Neither one of them run worth a shit. But so the original orange band is 4% thoriated. And so it's made by a company called Diamond Ground Products, or DGP. And so I special ordered a pack through my distributor because I was like, dude, what? Look it up. What is the orange color? Because like for years I was searching for this stuff, and he's like, I got seriated, and I was like, nope, not seriated. And he's like, whoa, 4% thoriated. I was like, order me a pack of that. And so he shipped it down to the shop, dude, and it runs freaking amazing. I love it.
Wow, I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, give that a shot.
Check that out. Dang, I've never even heard of it.
But yeah, I mean, it maintains tip geometry and all that stuff with higher amperage and stuff like that. I run it for steel, stainless, aluminum. That's pretty much all I run at the house for the most part. I mean, I've got some of the laser stuff that I'll use that periodically, but for the most part, I run a lot of that 4% thoriated.
Dang, yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure.
You just gotta be careful, like grinding it and all that, depending on how you're gonna do it. I've got one of those Arc Zone grinders, the cordless jobbies or whatever. I had a job that actually justified me paying $400 for a diamond grinder or a tungsten grinder, because I was doing a lot of mobile welding and stuff, and like I said, I'm a certified tungsten dipper, so like I tend to sharpen my tungsten a lot. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna invest in a sharpener instead of using my drill and my grinder and stuff like that. So I had a job that I bid it and kind of bid the tool into the job and got the bid. So I bought the tool and I was like, hell yeah. So now it's on a Milwaukee platform. So everything else that I have is Milwaukee, so I can use the batteries through everything else. But yeah, I'll use that 4% thoriated, run it on that grinder, and it does freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. I've got one of the turbo sharps from CK.
Yeah, that thing's freaking sick.
It's all encapsulated within itself. I got to empty the dust now, actually, now that I think about it. But I'm going to definitely try out the tungsten, dude, for sure. That sounds awesome. Yeah,
give that a shot. Like, reach out to, I would imagine, Central Maintenance or Central Welding. That's who Nate works for, right? They do welding material sales and stuff, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, reach out to them. They probably get a hold of it for you. It's made by Diamond Ground Products.
Yeah, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, if not, I can DM it to you. But it's pretty cool. Try it out. Let me know what you think.
Okay, sweet dude. Thank you. I'm gonna check that out.
I know a lot of places they quit selling the 2% thoriated just because it's not as in demand anymore, because I guess thorium's radioactive.
Right.
I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they were saying it really isn't a big deal because the grinding dust that it generates is so heavy that it's not the particles aren't released into the air. They literally just fall. So because they're so heavy. I mean, tungsten's heavy by nature anyway. Have you ever held like a 1-inch bar of tungsten that's 7 inches long? Oh, dude, it's heavy as hell. You're like, it should not weigh that much. It's stout.
Yeah, I mean, even the little baby packs of the 10 packs of tungsten, they're pretty heavy, especially when you got the 1/8 inch.
Yeah,
packs,
you get the
and they're
1/8
heavy.
inch. You're like, man, that's got some heft to it.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Dang.
So are you going to be at Fab Tech this year?
You know, I'm thinking about it. I'm still kind of on the fence. As you know, I'm with Hooded Heroes, so we're gonna have a big old booth set up with them.
Oh, cool.
AWS has actually donated a booth to Hooded Heroes so they can get all set up, which is awesome. It just kind of depends on timing on our end. We got some family stuff going on, and it's still up in the air if I'm going to make it or not. But I'm really, really hoping so, because I have never been, and I've heard Chicago is awesome, so I'm hoping to get out there.
Chicago's a good one, but if you miss Chicago, you've definitely got to come next year.
Where's next year's at? Do you know?
Orlando.
I see.
You definitely got to come to Orlando. I want to do like a big like underground metalworks meetup or something like that. You know, like do one of the nights or something like that. Host an event, and everybody can just come in, and I'll either do food trucks or I'll cook or something to that effect, and like have everybody come in and just weld, hang out, weld, have a couple drinks, food trucks, whatever.
That'd be sick. Yep, that would be cool. Yeah, I know. I'm really hoping to get out to. And I've also never been to Chicago. The farthest east I've been is Montana. And so that would be like a whole different world to me. So I think it'd be pretty sweet if my wife and I can make it out. It just depends on schooling and stuff, because we got 2 kids. So
yeah,
it just depends on timing,
Yep. No, I feel you. My kids go back to school next Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah, they start August 10th. So early. Yeah, so they start on a Thursday, which is weird. So they go back Thursday, Friday, and then they have 2 more days off. Saturday, Sunday, and then they start back on the full week. It's like, why not just start them off on a Monday? Just like, jump in head first, right back into it.
Yeah.
I think anything that the teachers need to get their reps in before they go to a full week is probably what it is. It's nothing to do with like easing the kids back into it. It's easing the teachers.
That's probably exactly it, warming them back up.
Yeah, which I don't blame them, dude. I've been on a couple field trips. It's like, man, I don't know how y'all do this with, 20 of these kids. It's like herding squirrels, man.
Right. I know our oldest, he's going into 2nd grade. So I know exactly how you feel, because I've been in there helping out students a few times, like on a Friday or whatever. And it's like, I don't know how the heck these teachers do it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I'm the designated field trip parent. So like anytime the kids have a field trip, like because my schedule's, especially now that I work for myself, I pretty much write my own schedule. So like if the kids have a field trip, I'll block off that date, and I'll be the designated parent to go on the field trips. So I get to see all the craziness that ensues. We did a trip up to Washington, D.C. Dude, 17 hours on a bus with a bunch of 7th graders.
Oh, gross.
I mean, it was like a charter bus, so it was kind of nice. And thank God, like Apple came out with noise canceling headphones. So I just like that, and pre-downloading some Netflix and stuff on my my iPad. That kept me pretty content for 17 hours.
Yeah, dang. That would be rough, though. That would be rough.
It was a 5-day trip. A day driving, 3 days in DC, and then a day driving back. But It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah, I bet it would be.
And the kids were like gassed out by the end of the day, because we'd get up at 6:30 in the morning, get out on the bus by like 7:30, and then we're like seeing sights and everything, and then they would drop us back off at the hotel at like 9:30 at night. So all the kids are like, by that point, they're done.
They're done. Yeah, they're totally toasted after all that day.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, hell, man, before we get out of here, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on your different social media platforms? I know you do Instagram. I don't know if you do TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that, but feel free to plug anything you got.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, but just barely. I need to get more into it. Definitely on Instagram. That's really my one and only main one. And so Dabbndaddo is spelled Dabndaddo. I know some people try to pronounce it Dabbndaddo, and that's a whole different. That's a whole different story.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. But it's good. So I've got my little baby Dabbndaddo sticker. So I go by whatever. It's okay. Nothing hurts my feelings. So Dabbndaddo on Instagram. That's pretty much about it.
Where'd you come up with the name?
So I was a production welder at the time, and that's all I knew were dabs, right? It was aluminum, making these aluminum doors or whatever. And at the time, my son was watching a goofy cartoon, and in the show, the kids called the Dabbndaddo. And I was doing all these dabs all day long, and I was trying to think of a name, and I was literally just starting my Instagram account, and I was like, oh shoot, like Dabbndaddy? No, that sounds weird. Dabbndaddo? No, that sounds equally as weird. Okay, I know Dabbndaddo, because my boy was calling me Daddo a little bit because of the TV show. I'm like, this is perfect. So it's what I stuck with.
I remember hearing that. I can't remember which cartoon it was.
It's Henry the Huggle Monster.
That's it. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That was
Little
Nickelodeon,
World
wasn't
of
it?
Monsters. Exactly what it was. Yep.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in years. We haven't had cable in years, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now that you say that, I remember, yeah.
That's what it's from.
Well, cool, man. I know you've got you got an engagement to get to, so I'll let you get to that. Thanks for coming out to the show and sharing your history with the listeners and some of the tips and tricks of what you're doing out there.
Oh, yeah, man. Jason, thanks a ton for having me on the show again.
Oh, anytime, man. And hopefully I'll see you in Chicago. If not, definitely Orlando.
Definitely Orlando. That'll give you a lot of time to prep for it.
There you go. All right, brother.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite downloader app so you never miss an episode. And if you've got just a few seconds, please take a moment and leave a review on your favorite app. It really helps me out. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.